you end up having these conversations with Republicans, they never know policy. I have never once debated a Republican that was like aware of Republican policy and was like, I know that this bill was something that was good that the Republicans passed, or if they're like, I know that this bill is something bad that the Democrats. They never know that because Republicans don't study policy. All that Republican like advocacy is rhetoric. It's just Fox News, billionaires, political action committees that are just trying to convince the masses that the Democratic Party is an evil, corrupt Hunter Biden pick scheme, and it works because like they just internalize the rhetoric so hard that they don't think they need to know policy. They just have the rhetoric to go off of. Also, I hear my fiance just got home. I heard the door open, so I'm probably going to kiss her as well because I love her very much. Hello, Nanya. Welcome to my live. What's your name? What can I call you by?
My name is Monique, and actually, I am closer to conservative than I am to liberal.
Okay.
But I'm not a card carrying anything. I voted both. This time around, I probably will vote Republican, and I'll tell you why.
Uh-oh, yikes.
I don't have a problem with anybody living their truth. You know what I mean? Just live how you'd like to live. Treat others like you'd like to be treated yourself. However,
I think that's great. I also think that Republicans are going to make it hard for that to exist for trans people.
But what I'm worried about, and this has nothing to do with the trans stuff, I'm really worried about the border and trafficking. We're like the worst country in the world in regards to human trafficking. And unfortunately, the liberals and the Democrats and the far left, they would rather have no borders. And
that's not true at all. Wait. Joe Biden is president. We currently have a border.
Yeah, but when you have children being handed over and sent to other places in the United States to quote unquote sponsors, that's concerning. How are these people vetted?
So I would certainly hope that we can help ensure the human rights of children that are crossing the border. I guess we can certainly do a better job with that. But
yeah.
I don't. Did you want to talk about the trans topic at all?
I think that honestly, like I said, live your truth, and I am all for it. But I don't think the trans topic is as important as other topics.
Probably true for you because you're not trans. When you don't have to fear about not being able to use public spaces, I can see how it would not be a very big issue for you. But it's a really big issue for people like me, where we're actively having our rights taken away in many states across the country.
Your rights as what?
Like being able to use the bathroom.
Okay, that's not a right in order to
use public accommodations. Wait, using public accommodations is absolutely a right.
No, you're able to use the bathroom. However,
no, there are many states where I would be arrested for using the public bathroom.
Probably because you probably don't pass as female.
No. In Florida, if you're a trans person, you can't go into either bathroom if somebody suspects that you're trans. In my state, in my personal life, nobody has ever questioned me going into a bathroom. But if I were to travel to Florida and go into the male bathroom or the female bathroom under Florida's new anti-trans law, anybody could have me arrested for using either bathroom.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
That's what the Florida law says. The Florida law says that a person can compel a transgender person to leave the bathroom if they suspect a person is trans, and they have to, or else they'll be arrested. That's what the new Florida law says.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that at all.
Yeah, but this is the law that the Republicans put forth. This is what DeSantis and that faction of the Republicans want to do nationwide.
Well, we see where DeSantis is really not very high in the polls right now.
It's just really scary when Republicans are passing legislation like that. It's not just DeSantis. The Florida state legislation passed this heinous law.
Yeah. That is disturbing. I don't think that's something that will stand, to be quite frank.
Well, I hope not.
However,
but they're going to try to do it.
I do think it will probably most likely be modified to be a little bit more. I mean, there's no way that you can't tell a human being not to use the restroom.
In Florida, you can.
And
I'm
so
telling you,
I
that is the
believe-
law in Florida. You can tell a trans person,
Right.
because you suspect that they're trans, to leave the bathroom, and they will be arrested if they don't.
So I believe there will be some modification coming in regards to those stringent laws that really make no sense.
But like, it's really effed up that Republicans would do that, right?
I think the Republicans in Florida, headed by DeSantis, yes.
Okay. Well, I guess
I don't
like.
believe that would be necessarily nationwide.
Uh-huh. So wait, why do you think the Republicans would do a better job on the border then? Like what's your evidence that they're gonna like handle human trafficking better than Democrats?
I do know that Trump has a very good chance of winning, and he's very big on the border being
Okay.
tightened up.
Can you like name any
Sorry.
like legislation or executive orders that Donald Trump passed that like better handled the border situation than Biden is currently doing? Like, was there any
Biden's a
policies?
joke. Do you know that, right? You do know, but I mean, honestly, does anybody really take Biden seriously?
I
And do you
think he
he's
is the
actually
president of the
doing
United
his own
States.
legislation? Do you think he's actually leading the party?
He certainly is leading the country. Yeah.
Well, yes, because in name, yes.
So wait.
as president,
What was
yes,
Trump's like
but-
policy, executive order, or law that was like really good at handling the border?
I can't actually name it right now.
You don't know of any policy?
Well, I would have to look it up.
Oh, okay. Well, like, I guess this is my problem is you seem to. I guess like my main problem is that you seem to think that like the Republicans would do a better job at the border, but you can't name a Republican policy which helped the situation at the border. Like, it seems like you've just been fed some kind of narrative that says that like Democrats have like open borders, which is just objectively factually not true, and then some kind of like vague hand waving the Republicans are going to do a better job. Like, I just don't see it in any kind of policy.
You're right. I would actually have to look up a couple of the things that he did do, and I did know that he did do a great job on the border. We didn't really have nearly as many people coming in as we have since Biden has been on.
Really? You're saying that not as many people were coming into the U.S. Like, let's look at U.S. immigration statistics. It was pretty steady from like 2016 to 2020, and then it went down in 2021. I'm seeing less immigration in 2021. Oh, and then it went back up to like basically the exact same level in like I think the pandemic is what caused a lower number in 2021, but then it went back to like the exact same levels during the Trump era. It seems that Biden's immigration status is like the exact same as like Trump's in terms of like number of immigrants.
1.6 million encounters with migrants along the U.S.-Mexican border. This is from the Pew Report.
Right. I'm also finding that this was true in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, where I see 1.7 million, almost 1.8 million, 1.6 million, 1.6 million. Like, these were the same numbers under Trump. Like, the numbers were the same under Trump and Biden. They're not really all that different in terms of immigration policy.
It's slowed in 2020 because of the coronavirus.
Right. And then Biden took office. And then it's never come to like above the levels before.
Southwest border encounters increased to their highest recorded level in fiscal 2021.
The stats I'm seeing just do not show that to be true, but also like there's more people than ever before each year.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the Pew Research Center.
Okay.
That's a well lauded research website.
Gotcha. I'm looking at some stats from the Census Bureau.
And it's not politically bent either, so it's not for...
Census.gov is not politically bent. So what's this Pew Research you're looking at? Can you cite me the article? So this is migrant encounters at U.S.-Mexican border. This increase in encounters... Okay, it seems that the stats I was looking at had to do with immigration numbers. These are encounters at the border. What do you think caused that increase in encounters at the border in 2020?
I think because of the Democrats, the Biden administration that we have currently.
Okay,
They were encouraging those.
What was the Biden policy?
They were going to have very lenient border policies.
What was that? Can you like name the law or like the policy they passed? Because I'm not aware of them. I'm not aware of them like passing a policy.
I would have to look at that, but honestly,
because to me, when I see this, it
They had
it seems to be that like this would be caused by the pandemic. Why you would see more encounters because of like increasing crises and emergencies. Pew Research article literally says that the Border Patrol began regularly expelling migrants during the coronavirus outbreak, and
Have
that's
you seen this
why
video on
we see so
TikTok?
many more encounters because they were regularly expelling migrants during the coronavirus outbreak. Like this says it's because of the coronavirus.
mm, yeah, I think a lot of stuff happened during the coronavirus.
Right. This says that the Border Patrol began regularly expelling migrants during the coronavirus outbreak, and that's why we see the increase in the U.S. border encounters. What's also interesting is that the number of encounters was the highest, yet the number of individuals was considerably lower because more than a
The
quarter of all the
number of
encounters were multiple crossers,
number
as
of
in the same person tried to cross the border multiple times, but they were stopped every time.
and the number of unaccompanied children was on the rise and has continued to
What
rise.
do you think we should do with like unaccompanied children at the border?
You know, it's something that needs to be should have been dealt with already, and it should
Uh-huh.
be dealt with immediately.
Yeah, what do you think we
Those
should do about
people.
that?
What do you think we should do about that?
I think we should probably like give them housing and food and water and try to like relocate their families and like place them in a safe spot with their families. I think we should do something like
Yeah,
that.
back where they belong. You know, with their
When
families.
you say back by where they belong, I wouldn't necessarily say just like turn them all back to their home country, because they might be like seeking asylum due to persecution or otherwise being in danger. So like maybe it'd be safer to bring them into the U.S. Maybe it'd be safer to like send them back home. But like I would want to like give them shelter and then
I don't know of any
relocate their
mother that would let
families.
her child go over to another country and never see them again.
I don't know. I think that we should try to find their
So
mothers.
that's very suspicious. Like it sounds like that child was probably stolen or sold
I
or
don't
brought to
think
the border.
so.
It sounds. I mean, like I
Wait, if a
said,
child was sold, how would they get to the
the
border?
mules that are coming over the border with various things, including fentanyl and children and whatever else.
If a kid has fentanyl, how do they cross the border? Like, wouldn't they find the drugs and be like, "You silly kid, you shouldn't be having drugs"?
I'm not saying that it's carrying drugs,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm saying there's probably a lot of destitute families in certain areas of South America.
Well,
They
shouldn't we
sell
help
their
them?
children. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing. Like, how else would there be a child unaccompanied? Like I said, there's no mother
Mm-hmm.
in the world, unless she's like a crack addict or something, that is going to let their child go across the border, never to be seen
I mean,
again.
I could see a situation where the mother is like in. I
Unaccompanied.
could see. Well, let me explain. I could see an instance where like maybe a mother's like gotten into some deep trouble, and say like the cartel is after that mother, but she knows that she can give her kid a good life if her kid can escape to the U.S. And so she helps her kid escape to the U.S. and then like because she knows that that's her kid's best chance at having a good life. Like I could see that happening.
Yeah,
I think that we should. I think that we should absolutely do something to care for the asylum seekers. But it seems that the problem is that the Republican policies at large are very harsh on asylum seekers, who are often doing so because they're fleeing persecution. Well, that's what asylum seeker means. Like that's why they seeking asylum.
yeah, and I understand that. I'm 55 years old. I kind of know what
Okay.
that means. However, I think that word is being overused. Not everybody's an asylum seeker. They're not seeking
True.
asylum.
Those that don't seek asylum don't claim to seek asylum.
Mm.
Have you like seen the system's awful. Have you seen like videos of like the court cases where like there are like literal children that have to like testify before a court and like a court's going to decide whether or not they get deported? Like this stuff is heinous. Like little kids that don't speak a lick of English are like they are like forced into the U.S. court systems in a language they don't understand without legal representation, and like it often ends with them being denied asylum and sent back to an even more dangerous situation. This is the world that Republican judges have created, and it's
No,
heinous. Like look up these videos of the
numbers. You
asylum
don't
seeker
understand.
court trials with children. It's awful. Like really.
Okay, I lived in Japan as an
Okay,
example.
cool.
Do you know in Japan you could be like I could have been born in Japan, but I would not get Japanese citizenship.
Okay.
They do not allow people to become citizens of Japan just willy-nilly. It's very difficult.
Okay.
But does anybody like complain about that?
I'm sure people do complain about that.
I guess you could probably go there if you wanted to, but they also have a border.
We also have a border.
Americans trying to go there from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, they're very strict. You have to have your passport ready. They're not going to let you over if you don't have anything.
If you're an asylum seeker, then they would let you over into Canada too.
Yeah, but
this is world law that you're supposed to let asylum seekers into your country. Like, we just don't have as many asylum seekers trying to flee the U.S. But if you were genuinely an asylum seeker trying to flee the U.S., Canada would be legally required to let you in, even without a passport.
But let me ask you, of all of the homeless people that are currently in San Francisco, you've seen pictures of San Francisco. I've been there recently. It smells awful. And it's horrible and it's sad. Why is it that we can afford to put up a lot of these people in hotels in New York City or what have you, and they get free room and board and food, but we can't take care of our homeless population? Why is that?
I hope that we could take care of both. It seems that we're just not allocating enough resources to homeless people. We can help asylum seekers and homeless people. I would advocate for helping both.
Before we send.
Well, if you're looking for homeless policies, it's the Democrat Party that has supported policies to help the homeless historically. There were a couple pilot programs in some various states that essentially did trials of giving homeless people homes to temporarily, get them off the streets, get them on job vocational training programs, and the results showed that overwhelmingly this was able to help homeless people pick themselves up by their bootstraps and get back working. These were Democrat policies that worked for helping the homeless. If you truly support these kind of policies, Democrats are trying to do this kind of stuff.
I just think that we need to make American needs first.
What kind of policies would you do to take care of American needs first?
I would concentrate on our education. I would concentrate on our homeless population. And I would also concentrate on reforming the immigration policies that we have currently.
Those are all things that Democrats are trying to do. Democrats are trying to deal with homelessness via things like Housing First initiatives. Democrats are trying to deal with increased funding and resources for education. These are all Democrat policies.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I really had to say.
It seems like your policy prescription's more aligned with Democrats, and I think that's awesome.
I'm sorry, but I just feel that the Democrat Party has just been hijacked by...
Okay, what are some Democrat policies you disagree with? Can you name any, bills or other, executive orders or a Democrat policy that you think is the wrong direction for the country?
I pretty much think Biden is the wrong direction for the country.
What are Biden's policies you disagree with? Because here's my problem. I think that you've heard a lot of rhetoric that says Democrats are bad, Democrats are evil, but you don't actually know what Democrat policies are. But meanwhile, I think that if you actually looked at the Democratic policies, you'd see that all of this negative conditioning that's telling you that Democrats are bad and evil isn't based in any policy. Because when we actually talk about the policies, it seems that you agree with the Democratic policies. So I would just encourage you to actually focus on policy rather than just rhetoric, because rhetoric that ignores policy is very deceptive. And sources like Fox News get away with doing this and abusing this really bad.
If we had all that money to send over to Ukraine, why couldn't we use that to actively help our homeless and our people who need to be fed in our country that are American?
There were literally Democrat initiatives that are doing this.
Billions of dollars over to the Ukraine.
Because that was a bipartisan. That was bipartisan enough that we could pass those bills. But most of the Housing First bills. Exclusive, all of the Housing First bills and those kind of bills are exclusively supported by Democrats and not Republicans, so they can't pass those through Congress. The only reason they were able to pass the Ukraine aid is because they were able to get enough Republicans on board. Like Democrats are the ones doing both of these.
I'm just reading the comments.
Okay.
What is
But like,
what
here's
is
the thing. That my
How would
biggest
it
problem
sound?
is that you seem to not have any like Democratic policy that you disagree with. Like it seems you've bought into a lot of rhetoric without actually knowing what the policies are.
I haven't really bought into a lot of rhetoric. I just see what's going on in our country, and
Right, but
I
like
don't
you could
like what I see.
can you name like one Democratic policy you disagree with? Like
I
a
would have to look
bill
up
or a
what's
law or an
wrong.
executive order? Like can you name one?
No, I can't actually right now.
Don't you think that's a little bit indicative that maybe you've heard a lot of rhetoric but not actual policy?
I'm being dismissive because I don't know what to say. I don't have my brain poised with a photographic memory on every single policy, but what I do
I'm just asking
see
for
is
one. I don't
I
expect you to
don't
like
know
know
what.
every single thing that's going on into the government. Like, heck, there are things that happen that like I can't keep track of everything. But like I can name some key policies that the Democrats pushed that were turned down by the Republicans. I think were really good ideas. I'm happy to name those if you're interested.
I'm not really big on their tax structure,
Okay,
how
what's the Democratic tax structure like?
they tax us a lot. They tax everything.
Wait. If you've actually looked at Democratic legislation on taxes, they only increase taxes on the ultra wealthy. Like their tax policies involve tax cuts for the lowest brackets of income. Yet you only see increases in taxes. I think it was people who made over $400,000 a year. Yeah. For example, like in the Build Back Better Act, it was funded solely by increasing taxes on wealthy corporations and income above $400,000 a year. Like if you're under $400,000 a year, you won't be taxed more under Democrat
See,
policy.
but I do know that the Republican Party does support lower taxes,
Well, they support
smaller
lower taxes for
government,
the ultra
small
wealthy.
government,
The Republicans are
and
cutting
free
taxes on like
market
the billionaires that are
capitalism.
screwing us over. They're helping the corporate billionaires, which is just heinous.
See, I don't have a problem with the rich people. I just don't.
But like the rich people are exploiting you. Like you could be making more money at your work if the rich people weren't exploiting you. Like
You know
you could
who
have free healthcare if the rich weren't exploiting you. You could have like better housing resources, better education
there's no
resources,
such
better
thing as
food
free. Do you
resources.
know that?
Right, that's why
There's no
you
such thing
tax the
as free.
wealthy. Like if you tax the
No,
wealthy,
what
we can
happens
provide
is
all of these
tax.
public hold up, You already support public goods to some extent. Like for example, firefighters, that's not a free service. Like people have to pay firefighters. We pay firefighters because we tax the wealthy. But we could also tax the wealthy to make sure that people can afford medicine. We could also tax the wealthy to make sure that like we can house the homeless. These are democratic policies to tax the wealthy to put it towards good stuff. Like the Build Back Better Act, which would have taxed, like I said, only people beyond $400,000 a year in income, and it was to be put forth towards infrastructure, small businesses, job growth, paid childcare, and paid family and medical leave for everyday workers. Like this was a democratic policy that would have caused you to get paid family and medical leave so that you can like take days off of work and still get paid, required for all job employers. Like this is something the
I
Democrats were
don't
trying to
believe in
do.
free healthcare. I don't believe it.
I'm
I just
I'm
don't.
not I'm talking about paid family and medical leave. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I sort of do.
Okay, what's paid medical leave?
Paid medical leave is, it depends on who you work for, actually. Um,
Right?
your company, you would have, paperwork to process through your human resources department or what have you. And your company will give you probably up to 12 weeks, whether it's consecutive or just during a fiscal year
Mm-hmm.
of time off, not necessarily paid the way you're used to getting paid when you're working,
Right.
but you have an agreed upon time that you're going to be gone for, and you get paid based on what the company says you can get paid with, whether it's your PTO that you've earned,
Right.
or there is an actual something separate set apart.
So
That's part of the Family
the thing
Medical
is,
Leave Act.
right. But the thing is, right now, companies are pretty stingent with this, and they're not even required to give it to you. There are lots of jobs that aren't even required to give you this kind of paid medical leave. But under this Democrat policy, the Build Back Better plan, all employers would be required to give you this leave that's paid for at your same salary so that you can actually take time off for major family events, that you can actually take time off for, major medical events in your life, and that you wouldn't be screwed over because, you had an emergency. Like, this is a policy that would just make people's lives better. And I think that's an awesome thing that we could have done, but the Republicans shut it down.
It's still active. It's still
No,
very
no,
active.
I'm saying that right now it's up to hold up. Right now it's up to corporations to decide whether or not they're going to give you anything. They could give you jack shit. But under this proposed law, they would have to give you paid medical leave. And that would be a better thing, because now everybody gets this benefit.
I believe they let the state decide.
Well, but like that's bad. What if a state decides to give you jack shit? And like you have a family emergency, but you don't have any money in the bank, and like you're living paycheck to paycheck. Like this, like the world we're living right now just allows people to get screwed over. But this policy would have helped a lot of people, including you.
See, but I live in a state where FMLA is supported.
Well,
and I live in the DC area.
There are states that don't have this. Do you think that they should just be forced to suffer if their state doesn't have it?
Maybe they don't need to be living in that state.
What if they can't get out of the state?
Naomi TikTok.
I'm sorry?
What if they can't get out of the state?
What would prevent them from leaving?
Yeah, so if they're like living paycheck to paycheck, because they're like stuck in poverty, then they don't have enough resources to get to a better state that has better policies. But if this was nationwide, then maybe being able to take paid family and medical leave would allow them to actually pick themselves up by their bootstraps.
So you think it would be signed into law, that it would be an actual countrywide state law, federal law?
Absolutely. This just helps people. Like, this puts more money into the economy. If workers are able to take paid family and medical leave, they're going to have more time to, like, actually interact with the economy. All of this money goes right back into the... here's the thing. If you give money to billionaires, it's going to go in an offshore bank account, and it's going to be hoarded by the wealthy. Boo. That's bad. But if you give money to workers, to people that need to pay rent, that people that need to pay to survive, that money is going right back into the economy and boosting our financial gain. Like, everybody wins when we do things like workers' rights, like paid family and medical leave, like higher wages. That money goes right back into the economy and helps us all.
Yeah, because right now, it's usually larger corporations or companies with more than 50 employees all over the United States that do participate with FMLA. If it's a small business, like a small business owner, those employees could probably go to their state.
Right. Well, this is why we should have laws to make sure that they get this money. And I would totally be down to like support a bill. Well, the thing is the Build Back Better plan would have subsidized small businesses so that they don't have to like cut this out of their bottom line. Like, this would have helped provide small businesses with money to be able to provide this to their workers. Like, the Build Back Better plan was an all-around win.
Again, with taxes, nothing comes for free.
Right. It only taxes people that make more than $400,000 a year, which I think is fair. They can afford to be taxed a little bit more.
But they already are taxed a little bit more. How much
right,
more?
But they're still ultra wealthy. Like, they can still be taxed more, and it's not going to hurt them.
Okay,
oh,
so
Chad is also saying that FMLA is not paid. So the system that the Build Back Better plan was proposing is better because you get paid in addition to being allowed to take leave. FMLA apparently is just being allowed to take leave, but with the Build Back Better plan, you would have gotten paid during your leave, so you actually still make money. That's way better.
Who pays the Build Back Better plan? Who's providing those
right.
funds?
It's done by taxing income beyond $400,000.
So basically, it's taxation again.
Right.
Taxes.
Taxation's a good thing when we can put the money towards bettering people's lives.
And we want free health care. Remember how we had the Obamacare?
Obamacare is not free health care.
Well, remember how we weren't going to everybody was going to be able to afford it, and you wouldn't have to change your doctors or any of that?
That's,
remember that?
Yeah, you don't have to change your doctors. Also, like, free healthcare versus Obamacare, which is public option healthcare, those are different policies.
Yeah. There's no such thing as free, is what I'm trying to say. If we got
there are literally countries that do this. Like, if you go to basically anywhere in Europe, you can get healthcare for free because they just tax the ultra wealthy. Like, that's how it's paid
They
for.
tax everyone, please. They tax everyone. They tax everyone.
Right. We also
actually,
tax everyone.
We in the United States actually pay less taxes than most of our European.
That's a problem. That's a
relatives.
real problem. I am happy to pay taxes when it goes to helping people. If my tax money goes to making sure that people aren't homeless, if my tax money goes to making sure that people have paid family and medical leave, if my tax money goes to ensuring that everybody can live a basic, decent standard of human life where they're not punished for coming down sick, like, if we can do that, that's a much better world to live in, because I care about people.
Yeah, all of our tax money and all that savings, the billions of dollars that could have gone back into our country that they had, could have gone back into our country.
Right. Democrats are proposing legislation to do that, but the Republicans are shooting it down.
Have you seen this Naomi?
Like the Build Back Better plan, like I was telling you about. The Build Back Better plan was a Democrat proposed policy that would have done this. Every single Democrat in Congress voted yes on it, and every single Republican voted no on it in Congress.
Well, I'll do a little bit more research for the next conversation.
Well, definitely. I think doing more research is a great thing to do. Like, if you can kill something with Bowmaster's ETB, it's a literal 3-for-1. You got your Bowmaster's body, you get the token body, and you get to kill something.